here. This is gonna get
Hello and welcome to the Jury Roundtable for Surviving 1984 from the Ashes. We have a few of the jurors here. Hopefully we'll grab at least one more before the end of this. And then towards the end of this roundtable, we will be revealing who got third. So as of now, we are here to discuss the merits of Kira, Jake, and Velian. So this is your guys' roundtable, however you would like to start. If we want to go person by person, that is cool. So whoever wants to lead it off. Anybody?
I don't know who wants to start. Should we just go backwards?
Let's. What do you mean backwards?
Like eviction?
Sure.
Like you, me, Ty, Brian.
All right. Well, who do you guys want to start with? I think we should start with the ladies. So Miss Kira.
Ladies first.
Yes, we have to show some manners after this bloodshed of a season. What do you guys think of Kira? She is the last standing female. She was originally on Hydra, ironically, with one of the other finalists. She then was swapped, I believe, on Rhodes, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where she stayed for the second swap as well before making merge. She currently has one immunity win. So what do you guys think?
I think she's the moment. She's like an icon. She she just did that, She got to the end. She finessed everyone. People kept calling her a threat. And honestly, even if you don't think that she's a threat, calling her a threat and her getting to the end of the game.
That's something.
It's something.
Yeah. I think there's something amazing that Kira did, and people can't see it. And that's what I love about it. Because I think we all have certain blind spots when we're playing the game. There would be people who would say, oh, she didn't really do anything. But that's only because we're looking at it from our perspective. But when we had that game where they had to determine who's controlling the game, Kira was the person who won that. And at that point, it should have been an alarm bell to everyone that maybe she's doing something right. And for some reason, she's still there. An idol was used on her. May that be a good move, a bad move, or whatever. But it takes a certain quality for an idol to be played on you, right? Either tricking your enemy enough for them to make a mistake, or maybe minimizing your threat level while being called the person in control. I don't know. But certainly, she did something. That's why she's there. Like, to me, when I will vote, I will look at social efforts and social awareness. I want to know if Kira can come close to what we actually think of her. I always just ask these players one thing, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think I like you? And because it takes boldness to actually assume what I think of you right in front of me. And if she says around 8, 9, or 10, then she gets my vote. And if Valley says around 7, 8, and 9, he has a chance at my vote. I'll ask the same thing to everyone, but I'll ask, how much do you think X likes you? How much do you think Sky likes you? I want to know how they understand their position in everyone else's game. Because to me, like, in orgs, everyone focuses on the strategy and the winning, and it's like, 3 years, 4 years after, that's overdone. Like, everyone does the same shit. But who is the most socially aware and who can play their social position in the game? I think that's more masterful. So if Kira can display that, then she has my vote.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think from me, it's more of, because I definitely look at the game aspect of it, like, yes, the social aspect of it as well. And I do agree with you. I think that she's played a very good social game because she's been able to be like pretty much in the middle, essentially. Like, she was never really targeted. And I think that's why, like, she might have stayed close to me and Taisha, because me and Taisha were like the ones that everybody was trying to come after. And I think that was really smart on her game plan. But I also want to know, like, what did it look like for her? Like, was she going through this game just willy-nilly? Like, was she just figuring it out as she went? Because if she did, that's really impressive, and I'm more impressed with that. But I also, if she did have a strategic gameplay, then I definitely want to hear her out on that and like kind of hear what that looked like for her. Like, because like I strategized, right? And so like I want to know, like, did she do the same thing, or did she just go in and just kind of figure it out as she went? Because if she did that, I'll be impressed. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's very impressive if you can just like wing it and then just make it to the end, right? But I don't think she did that. So I really want to see like kind of what her gameplay looked like for her.
I'll say I really did enjoy Kira on an emotional level. I really got to know her. I actively put myself out there, try to get to know a couple people. She always slayed that portion to the point where I do think, like Brian mentioned, like all of you mentioned, her social game really was her best asset. I would love to hear her strategic gameplay. I think if I want someone to represent such a crazy season, I want them to also have some strategic gameplay. I don't heavily weigh challenges a lot. I think you can still be a great survivor player without them. They are nice, but you don't really need challenge wins. At the end of the day, you don't. I want to see what strategic moves she made or that she feels that she can claim. Um, if she has like one or two, I think I might lean that way because she did play the middle. She did get who's running the game, arbitrary or not. Perception's everything, and she had that perception on her the same way Taisha had the perception. Oh, Taisha's gonna win, except Taisha was slain. Kira's in the final three, and I think that's a very big point and something that I will be looking at. But I do want to see the strategic gameplay. I think out of the final three, she had the best social game, regardless of votes against her or not. I think her positioning was continuously good, and she did have to overcome a couple things, and I vary that a lot.
Yes. Now let's talk about what's working against her, right? Like, what are the things what will she say that might turn you off? Because I want to see this in all the players. There are certain things that if Veli says, I would be like, oh, I don't want you to say these things. You shouldn't be saying these things. Same with Jake. I think there would be things that Kira shouldn't be talking about anymore. Or if you open this up, you're just opening a can of worms that might work against you right now. Um, I don't want Kira to say, I lied very well. Like, lying is a part of the game, I think. But at this point, like, if she starts with that, like, I tricked you, I fooled you, I'd be like, oh, Kira, like, you're hurting your narrative right now. Because the narrative here is that you did really well connecting with people, but now you're about to tell us you used people. Like, this would make the narrative a little bit inconsistent. So I really hope she does not come out saying, oh, I'm the best liar in here, because there are a lot of finalists in Survivor who would claim being the best at tricking people, and it never quite works out for them. So that's probably just one thing that she shouldn't really focus on.
I'll say this. I believe the narrative that Kira will go with is that she was really loyal this season, that she did the best she could to just survive.
Yes.
She did tell me one thing, and again, it could have been downplayed, but my decision was already made by that point. She was propping me up, but she also said, oh, I was just doing things that Sky told me to do in Merge. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear her take hear her take credit for saying, you know what, I might have had to have someone fill me in, but it clearly worked out for me continuously. I was on the majority for these votes. And even when I wasn't, it was because I was being loyal. I think if she goes with that aspect, great. I don't want to hear her be like, oh, Sky was telling me what to do, or this person was telling me what to do, or I had no idea what was happening, so I just went this way. She's in final three. Some of the people that she was working with aren't. I think it's time to take credit for that moves that you were a part of. And I want to hear that. I want to hear Kira come in strong. Own her loyalty, because that's what a lot of us loved about her, was her loyalty, and I want to hear her own that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's why I'm really mostly wanting to see kind of her gameplay, because I know her and I did work really close together for the majority of the game, and so like she never, like, I was mostly the one throwing out the strategies, and so if that was part of her gameplay, if that was like you know, her knowing how good strategically I was and using that for her, then great. If that's what she wants to say, that's awesome. But yeah, I definitely agree. I kind of want to see, that's kind of why I want to see like her gameplay for sure.
I think that she will explain that a lot because I know there were times in the game where we would talk. Kira got a bunch of information. Kira was in the middle. She was always being pinned down with Ali on that side.
Mhm.
And then she also had us. But she always knew who the big targets were, you
Mhm.
know? And it was kind of hard because I was also in a similar situation where you can't really go against it if you don't have the firepower behind. So you have to play your role. And I think
Mhm.
she played her role
Mhm.
correctly.
Yeah.
You know, even though she wanted different targets out, she still voted with us over here.
Yes.
But
Yes.
she still was trying to make other things happen. It's just that if you
Mhm.
don't have that, you can't just force something, and you have to play your role. And she played her role, and I think that's what got her ultimately to the end of the game. You know, when she
Yeah.
won that, what was it, Final Six immunity and everything,
Yeah. Was
kind
it
of
final
just.
six?
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Yeah,
the
it was
final.
final six because I left at 7 and then y'all still continued with the Pringle thing. Yeah.
Yes.
One
Yes.
that just like pushed her through, you know, she was always looked at like, you know, by her being by herself at that point. And
Mhm.
so I think that if she can like, you know, relay all that information 100%, you
Yeah.
know.
That was a do or die immunity for her as well.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And she knew it. Yeah.
Yes, that is a shining moment. Like do or
Mhm.
die, and then she was able to pull through. Very
But that's
interesting. Mhm. Let's talk about Veli because I'm
Yeah. I
really
was just gonna
interested
say.
to
Talk about
like.
Belly.
I want to know what he did right, and I want to know what he didn't do right. Like, what do you feel, Sky?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love Belly to death, but honestly, I am going to need a complete breakdown of what he did in this game because um from even from working with him, quote unquote working with him, and just hearing the people that were close to him and the things that he wasn't really strong at. Like, yes, he's here. He did win a battle back and then he managed to still be here. But
Mhm.
I think that he turned into the person that, oh, that person's going to be easy to beat. And I don't necessarily, I'm not necessarily going to look at that only because if you're willing to take a quote unquote weaker player, which I don't think he really was. I mean, he's very socially aware. Like he
Mhm.
managed to spread rumors around and still got away with it somehow. And to me, I just don't see taking a weaker threat to the end is a like, strong way to get a vote, honestly. So I don't know, but I definitely want to see, like, I want to hear what he has to say about his game and him coming completely unprepared every single time we did a challenge. He didn't have any of his materials or anything. So I just want to know, like, what was the point? Like,
Mm. Like to me, I really want Veli to come out there and just say, I did everything I could. Like honestly, that's what it was. That's what it will be. Because Veli was out of the game and then he came back. And I could relate to that. But Veli was also like in a weird time zone dealing with everyone, making this work while he's working because we're awake when he's at work or something like that. It's very difficult for him. Like there's a certain sense of isolation that you get when you're not on the same time zone as a lot of people, but for some reason he's still there. I want him to just be honest and say, I tried everything. I tried lying, I tried creating rumors, I tried winning challenges, I tried throwing challenges, I tried creating a minority alliance. Because if he does that, then I would be like, he made something out of a bad situation because he's starting at a disadvantage compared to other people. And the thing that really isn't good is that the fact that he was always, when we were still in tribes, he's always been in a really comfortable position. At least for me, that's how it was. His real struggle only started at merge, but pre-merge he's always been in a good position. And if he can present that as something good, because maybe luck, maybe he's able to make friends all the time, maybe the tribe divisions always worked out for him, then great. But I need him to just tell us the truth that he did everything he can, and sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't. And I also hope people don't just see him as someone who's easy to beat, because I think he has a lot to sell, but it would take a lot. If he's next to Kira or Jake, it would really, really take a lot for him to sell his game. And I wish he could.
I would like to gripe at Michael for having my black ass sit in the waiting room for 10 plus minutes, missing out on this goddamn conversation for Lord knows what reason.
I'm so sorry. I had the Zoom hidden. I'm so sorry. Tag me next
Michael,
time.
I do not wait 10 minutes for nobody. For
I'm so
no
sorry,
freaking
Jay.
body.
Jay, do you have any thoughts on Belly?
Wait, is that all that's been talked about Billy so far?
No, we just got done talking about Kira. But we can
Dang,
go
it
back.
would have been nice to be a part of that conversation. I don't know what happened.
I'm
We
fucking
can
dead.
go back to Kira. We can go back to Kira.
Do you mind if I talk about Belly real quick? Just because I have to leave for work now in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, go for it. You're muted.
I can't hear you guys now.
Oh, okay. What?
Hello?
Hello?
This whole Zoom.
AJ just messed up everybody's Zoom.
I just don't know. Y'all so messy.
Mess.
This season has been a mess. Like, we can't just not have a normal jury roundtable, okay? Anyway, AJ, do you have anything to say about Belly? Oh, X is back.
Okay, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so I fucking technology, I suck with it. I do want to say this just before I leave. I try not to go into final tribals, especially in a final two situation, saying I won't vote someone. But I will say I have a lot more respect for Kira's gameplay and Jake's gameplay, and the path that they took to get to the final two. I also think like they're probably looking at each other as the bigger threat. I personally am going to struggle voting for someone that did still get the majority of the votes to leave at a tribal council. Regardless, it was told to us for the entirety of that round up until we locked our votes in that it was going, or it was either until we locked our votes in or right before we locked our votes in that, oh, now it's going to be purgatory. Like production made us believe that round was as real as possible and that there was two authentic people leaving the game. And with that gameplay, Velian was outmaneuvered socially. I think his social game takes a huge hit. And I think it's going to be hard to go if he's against Jake, someone who didn't receive a vote all season, if Jake's there, or Kira, who arguably had one of the best social games. I struggle to see that aspect. Comp-wise, it doesn't matter. I'll never look at someone and say, you aren't good at comps, I can't vote for you. But I will look at the fact that he was, like Sky said, unprepared multiple times. And also, it was a loved ones challenge. He didn't compete in the hardest part of the loved ones challenge, the endurance competition.
That's true.
I respected everyone that competed in that for themselves in the harder part. It's easy to answer trivia, whether you know it or not, but to stand there and actively do something that's uncomfortable for a long period of time, which is endurance, I credit Jake and Kira a lot for the effort they put into that. And it worked out for Valiant. He technically won the challenge. But I'll be honest, I was a little rubbed the wrong way seeing someone else have to win it for him. So challenge-wise, I'm like, I do think it's going to be hard for him to gain my vote. Maybe he done a lot that I'm not privy to, and if so, and if he goes in and has a great final tribal, who knows? But I will say I do struggle for my personal aspect to like want to vote Valiant when I look at Kira and Jake, and I'm just impressed on a lot of factors. But with that said, again, I'll come in open, but just for Valiant, that's kind of my only issues with Valiant's gameplay was he did technically leave at a tribal council, and then even when he had to show up on challenges, he couldn't. His social game, I'm confused on. If I'm being honest, but
Yeah.
like I said, I got to go, and I appreciate y'all for letting me talk.
So just so we are aware, we currently are about 10 minutes away from the time we're gonna bring in third place. I know we've talked about Kira and Veli. If we can,
I haven't. I've talked with neither of them.
I know. If we can get a little bit of Jake talk in there as well, just so we get that on the recording before we pull that third person in. But also, if you guys still have anything about Kira or Veli, gladly say it. Just make sure we get to do this.
AJ, you can talk about Jake.
Oh, I get to talk about someone? I would like to spend this time about me. I'm not about Jake. I like to let y'all know how long I've been waiting in that waiting room. Y'all saw me. I started off at work. I started at freaking work over there closing up shop. And I was able to drive all the way freaking home, close up shop before they let me into this place. I'm sorry. Anyway, Jake. I love Jake. I think Jake, if I'm being honest with you, and I don't know about the post me leaving that much from besides what y'all told me, but I genuinely feel like Jake might have played me the most of everyone in this game because like I did not see it coming from Jake. Like I like thought Jake was like one of my good people, even though I approached Jake many times being like, I know everyone likes you and stuff like that, but I still felt like he was being like the most genuine with well not with me, but like at least his second or third priority, if that makes sense. So I think Jake is actually extremely smart. He likes to use his low-key nature to like get himself through sticky situations. When I was like, okay, Jake is someone that I can visibly be at the end. When it turns out like he's over here wheeling and dealing, making deals, doing all this stuff behind the scenes. And I respect the behind the scenes player, like full stop. I think that is very impressive to be doing a lot of stuff and to not get caught by everyone. Or if you get caught, it's too late. And so like I didn't realize how much Jake was doing until after I left the game. I was like, dang, Jake, that deserves my respect.
Hi.
Hi.
Me and Jake, I love Jake a lot. You know, I think Jake was my first ally in this game, and I like obviously had a lot of trust with him. And I think over time, like little things started like piece together. I could tell Jake was a big gamer from like the jump, and so obviously when Jake like flipped on me, I just had to like take it back. I'm like, oh my God, whatever. But at the same time, I respect it because I think Jake's game more so is anyone but himself, which I think should be. And it's just more so, it depends on how you look at that as when you're voting. Do you value that? Do you like value like those connections? Like, I think if he comes in like in the finale and he just explains like to me personally that it was more so like, oh, like I just had to get all the threats away from me. Like I'm trying to understand like exactly what his end game was. Because obviously even like going against X in the end, is it more so like he feels he can win against Kira or Veli more? Or what?
Yeah.
Because he's still like in the end, I feel like in my mind, he would always tell me like sign extra threats, sign extra threats. And in my head, I thought he wanted to sit in the end next to like you, Sky or X. So like for him to go with that, I'm just wondering what exactly was the gameplay.
Yeah. No, I think so. Jake was literally the first person at Merge that I like ran to. I was super drawn to him. And I think that speaks volumes on him as a person because he obviously was connected to all of us, right? And like we didn't know how close he was to each one of us. And I think that was a big part of his game, was just playing this kind of social game that was almost intertwining, but not too much, if that makes sense. I think that he did really well with like wording, knowing who to talk to, knowing who he could trust with information, things like that. And then just being very like almost under the radar a little bit because like for a while I was like, okay, Jake isn't doing anything. And then of course, you get into jury and you're like, oh, like same thing that you said, AJ, like you find out all this stuff and you're just like, what? Like, so yeah, no, it's honestly, it's going to be, he's definitely the one person that I was like, okay, if this guy makes it to the end, he definitely has a shot for sure. And I'm really interested to see kind of the same thing with Kira. Like, I'm interested to see what his gameplay looks like. Because I don't think he's one of the people that like went in and was just like, I'm just going to do whatever. I think he was very, very strategic about what he was doing, who he was talking to, the things that he was saying to people. I think that he very much thought it out. And even when we would do competitions, like you guys know, you saw him, he was so easygoing and just like, you know what I'm saying? Like he did not pose a threat at all. And so like, I'm just curious to see kind of what that kind of looks like for him. So
the number of times Jake's ass was like, "Oh, I felt so bad about that comp," or "Oh, this isn't going to go my way," and then he's like one of the top performers of that comp.
Always. Like I remember when we did like when we were still like in our first like tribes, like in like Hydra, and we're doing like the little flip cup. Jake did it like 1, 2, 3, like just quick, and everybody was like still lost because like but still like he did like he flipped his cup in like 3 seconds. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then even our endurance, he was holding the fucking.
AJ, do you want to talk about Kira real quick?
Sure. I like Kira. I really do. I think Kira. I'm very impressed with Kira because I think Kira from basically pre-merge, she had a target on her back. Like y'all know it was the girls that had a target on the you, Ty, and Kira.
Shout out.
like had that target on y'all back. Y'all were the quote unquote big threats that needs to go. And I remember at one point in one of my confessionals, I was like, oh yeah, Kira got to go early merge. Like full stop. Like if she had her back against the wall and had to fight through a lot of people inherently not trusting her or inherently viewing her as a threat. The fact that she even made it to final 3, I would have never thought that, like, she would have been like one of the last people I thought making this point. And that's a very impressive game. And like, I don't know if this is a pro Kira thing, an anti-X thing. The fact that she had an idol played on her when she should have been voted out fifth, she should have went home. Like that was insane to me. And I think she is a very smart person. She's like one of the people I feel more that tries to get you know on a personal level, like get to know you socially good in a good point, which I respect. But she also knows how to separate personal from game, and I also respect that energy. I'm intrigued to see how she views her story in this game, but like I think she does have a good story to tell and a good case to make if she makes it to the final 2.
X just wrote in here about Jake. I'll just read it. So he said, my opinion on Jake is that he went with the flow of things, and anytime he tried to go against it, he always failed and then went back to what he knew. I failed to see a move that he successfully made rather than just being used for it to make it solidify. He was used. Golly, I can't read. Sorry. He was used for the Jordan vote. Ollie and Belly had to bring the Brian vote to him, and it failed. I do think his first active move was taking me out, but I think if it puts him in a do or die position to win final immunity, though, again, if he makes it to the end, I cannot read. I'm so sorry.
If he makes it to the end, then it clearly worked out, and it's something he could put on his resume. Mm-hmm. On the social aspect, this dude can never had his name written down, and I respect that a lot, as it's not easy. This dude had a public idol, and so did I, but he was never the big target for people. Yep. Me, Taisha, Kira were ahead of him, and with how crazy things were at the 7-person alliance coming together, I do think Jake never faced true adversity versus Valiant and Kira, who did face adversity.
Yeah.
That is my pros and cons.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think there's a big because everybody knew about his idol too, and like nobody was talking about his idol. Everybody was talking about X's idol. So I think that's absolutely a very valid point for Jake. I think that he like I said, it was the way that he talked to people, the way that he communicated with people, the way that he made everybody feel safe. Like he wasn't loud and obnoxious and like, didn't do crazy things, and I think that definitely helped his game a lot. 100%.
Exactly, because like how many times did like we talk about, man, Jake's under the radar, like Jake's never had his name written down, and everyone likes Jake, but we're like, but we like Jake too, so it's okay.
Because
so, like,
we were all working with him, so
exactly.
It was like, it just never, it never crossed our minds.
Like we were all working with him, and he had like all of our trust. Like it was never like a question of if he's going to betray us, which is
right.
I think that's hard to do, especially with this cast.
Like he had outlier connections, like with Fabi, like he could go out there, and even with Kira and everything, because like X mentioned with the Jordan vote, like I went to Jake and I was like, I don't think we should vote out Jonathan. Like that's so stupid. Like why do we want to do that? And I will say, I really wanted to check with Zach during that round, but because of Zach's connection to Jake,
Mhm.
you know, we went with Jordan instead of Zach. And that was the only reason that it wasn't Zach. Because me, Kara, we wanted to get rid of Zach. So
Like I will say with Jake personally with me, every time I was like thinking of a path forward, or like if I wanted to think of a move or something like that, like every time I was like, I need either Jake on board with this, or like Jake needs to be like in the know and he don't have to do something. Like Jake, I feel like was part of so many people's plan. Like if something had to happen, Jake had to be a part of it. Like almost. Like of course there are some things that like can happen without Jake, i.e. like an immunity out of play, or who knows what other stuff can happen. Comma, but I think he was like such a linchpin through so many people's personal games that even if he's not the person that's like being out front or actively making a move that's going to benefit him at that point in time, for the long run, because this is not a short game, um, for a long run, that makes you seem like what this is a reliable person, even if they're not reliable. This is a reliable person that even if I'm not on their side, I know how to navigate with them. And obviously, he knew how to navigate better than I did, at least. I was going to say all of us, but I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
So we are about to add in the third placer. They're not quite. Oh, they did just enter the waiting room. Before I bring them on, do we have any predictions? And then who does each person, if they win final immunity, need to take out in order to have more of a chance of your vote? Really quick. X says you think it's Jake.
I think it's Kira. I think I don't know what the final choice.
I hope it's not Kara. I really don't care. Let's go. Who is it?
Why no?
I think it's Kira.
Are you ready to find out who got third place?
Yes.
I'm ready to be set, whatever it is.
I'm so
Here we
scared.
go. Please welcome your
Hi.
third placer. As soon as I accept it.
Oh no!
Oh no! No!
It is Kira. Kira got third place.
Oh my god!
I can confirm that we did have an endurance comp. They had to take a stack of solo cups, like a tower, of 6 solo cups, and spin a sock around it with a water bottle in it. I don't remember how long it took. Kira fell after about a minute and a half. And then after over a half hour, Velian won immunity and chose to out Kira. So that's where we're at now. So Kira, if you would like to say a little bit of your piece to the jury, and then after that, we will close off the stream.
So I mean, I guess with the challenge itself, I had a bad strategy in the sock choice. I lost my grip, and when I was trying to regather my grip, I knocked my cup over. Shit happens. I think going into it, I felt relatively okay either way, whether it was Jake or Veli who won at and then if I didn't win. And then, obviously Veli wins, and we have 30 minutes or so to a little under to deliberate. And Veli said that he wanted to talk to both of us. He's going to spend 10 minutes each with us, and he spoke to Jake first. I have no idea what their conversation held. I never spoke to Jake. But when I talked to Veli was pretty much saying that he's like, my coming into it, my mind was 99% made up. So I wanted to give you the 1% chance to sway me. And I was kind of like, well, just giving me 1% isn't really giving me a chance, but okay. And he just felt like he asked me to pitch him. And so essentially I was saying how Jake has played a strong game, has been on the right side of the votes, has made a lot of relationships. He had an idol for an extremely long period of time, was able to keep it secret for a good period of time. And then coming into merge, it was found out within the second round, and still not even a single person tried to go for that idol based on those relationships that he had, meaning proving that they were strong. Whereas people, including myself, had tried and gone for exes, but anytime flushing an idol came up, it was about ex's idol, not about Jake's. And so then I explained how with my game, I think, it's been made to seem a lot bigger than what it actually was, which cool, appreciate it. But at the same time, me and Veli had a really long conversation. And I think the vote going into the final four, kind of just talking about how we've been missing each other, and we kind of and how he felt that he couldn't trust me, and how I felt that I couldn't trust him at certain points. And then we got to a point where we thought we trusted each other, is what it is. And he kind of said that, Kira, I am gonna be voting you out. It's just the best play for my game. You're stronger. You have all these relationships, and people really like you. And I was like, and I think that's fair. But we don't know what the jury is voting for. We don't know what they're looking for. If we're talking off of relationships and people are going to vote for someone who just likes somebody else, sure, I have a chance, but also he does. There's a lot of people that I think like him, as well as I think that Jake also has that, in referring to the idol information that I just talked about. And he said you just had a great underdog story, and you had your name out from the first vote. And I kind of joked with him. I was like, dude, you're the one who voted my name. So like, well, like you did, and so it is what it is. And here I am. So I told him that now he has a 99% chance, or he has a 1% chance to get my vote. So. And whether that's true or not, I just definitely wanted to say it. But I mean, to each their own. We'll see how he can actually explain himself, and so as well as Jake. So
That's the kind of petty you love.
So sad.
So with that, we are going to end the stream, but we will let you guys sit on the Zoom if you'd like to continue to speak. So tomorrow night, we will have each of the finalists, Jake and Bellion, give a 7-minute opening. Then each of you will get your own 7 minutes to do whatever it is you like with it. And then they will each get a 2-minute closing. So think about what questions you want to ask. I say this every single season. This is your season, your jury vote. Vote for the person you want to represent this season. At the end of the day, this is the person we're going to be thinking about every time we talk about your season. So vote for who you want to represent your season. With that